Good morning, welcome to breakfast with Naga Munchetty and Charlie State.
Our headlines today, that today we've been so familiar with the 2-metre distance guide, and now it's 1 metre plus. But also, when it comes to the number of people gathering, the number 30 is being... So we've been hearing some hairdressers in England have been open since midnight.
Adam McLean has been to visit a salon in Lancashire, which welcomed its first customers since March.
Now, not everywhere in England is enjoying perhaps the sense of freedom you saw there in the hairdressers today. However, new local lockdown rules are coming into force in Leicester. This is after a spike in coronavirus cases.
What that means is the businesses in the city won't be reopening, and a ban on social gatherings and overnight stays is included in the new legislation, with fines for those flouting the law.
Now, our reporter... In the United States, Donald Trump has kicked off celebrations for the 4th of July weekend by holding an event at Mount Rushmore. So we're going to keep you up to date throughout the morning with all the latest news. We've got Jane at a hairdresser's, we've got Dan outside a pub, we saw Geeta, obviously, in Leicester. Should we see how the morning papers looking at...
Significant changes, and one of the ones that, in a way, has not been given maybe that much attention, we've known about it for some time, is that the rule over 2 metres, social distancing to 1 metre. When you ask the politicians, of course, what they say is 1 metre plus is what they're recommending. But that is a significant change. It brings with it lots of other changes to do with the hospitality sector, particularly hairdressers. All of these places are having significant change today, and there definitely will be a different feel to things, although not everyone is entirely on board. You know, some people are looking at it thinking, why? But
yeah, there's a lot of confusion. How have you felt about the whole 2 metre thing?
What, you mean work? The work thing? Well, of course, it's interesting, isn't it? Because people have, I mean, you know, it's obvious to see. Here we have divided out the sofa.
You've enjoyed that space, taking over my traditional space.
And people also realise that no change as we sit here as it stands. So, yeah.
Told you that Jane's at a hairdresser's. You know, Charlie, haven't people been dealing with unruly hairdos lately?
How have they?
I don't know, how have they?
I don't know. I mean,
do you not know?
It's a management. It's just a bit of management. That's all.
Jane's at a hairdresser's.
Jane, thank you very much.
Lots of people very excited about their haircuts. We'll see more from Jane later. Time now, 16 minutes past 6.
Let's have a look at the weekend weather. Stav's got all the details for us this morning. How are you, Stav?
I'm very well. How are you both doing?
Not bad at all.
Well, thank you.
Saturday morning,
yeah.
We're here.
Yeah. It's been a while, hasn't it?
It
I've been
has.
cutting my own hair, actually, with my own clippers. I've been doing it for the last... on and off for the last 15 years, because people have been wondering, some of my mum's neighbours.
Look all the way around. Can you give us a 360?
It's the back.
Is it blended okay?
No, it's good.
It's done a good job.
Really good.
Gel
You
in
should
there,
have got
so-
Stav to have a go at yours, Charlie.
I could see it now. Stav's salon. I could see it now. You see it?
Stav, what's the weather
So
looking
glad to get on
like?
with the weather.
Yeah.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
It is time now for Reporters, featuring some of the best stories from the BBC's correspondents from around the world. Hello, you're watching Breakfast with Charlie State and Naga Munchetty.
Here's a summary of today's main stories from BBC News. After more than 100 days in lockdown, people in England can now visit hairdressers, pubs, cinemas and restaurants from today.
6:32 is the time. So we're going to be explaining to you throughout the programme lots of new announcements that have been made, changes in the laws in England, or the measures in England, and they're also coming in the devolved nations as well. Also changes in sport. And Mike, good morning to you.
Good morning.
It was all
Hiya.
about a tea break, perhaps.
Yes,
That,
absolutely.
There were reasons that, you know, many reasons that sport can't take place, but I didn't think a cup of tea would be so
Yeah.
divisive.
Part of the traditions, isn't it, in cricket?
Someone's lucky charm, Mike.
Never. I was terrified of jinx him. Usually it is the bushel curse, isn't it?
It's the commentator's curse, isn't it? You kind of try to
often.
avoid
You build
it
someone
all
up
the
so
time.
much.
Ah, well,
Well,
it worked
hopefully-
this time. You reversed it. It's the start of
Yeah.
a better thing. Thanks, Mike.
See you later, Mike. Thank you very much. 6:38 is the time now. With restrictions lifting, many people will be thinking maybe about booking a holiday or maybe staying at home. A staycation expected to be very popular this year.
From today, campsites in England are allowed to reopen. Of course, there'll be strict social distancing measures advised. Well,
Good morning. Welcome to Breakfast with Naga Munchetty and Charlie State.
our headlines today.
Good morning. It's Saturday, July the 4th. Our top story today, the largest easing of coronavirus restrictions so far has come into effect in England. Some hairdressers welcome back customers at midnight, while pubs, restaurants, cinemas all allowed to reopen during the day.
So it may feel different, but the Prime Minister has still warned people to act responsibly, even though the rules have been eased when it comes to lockdown. Our reporter Dan. So we saw with Dan that some pubs can open from, well, they can open from 6 o'clock. Well, since midnight, some hairdressers in England, we're talking about, of course, have been open since then.
Adam McLean has been to visit a salon in Lancashire, which welcomed its first customers since March.
Not everywhere in England is enjoying the sense of freedom perhaps you saw there. New local lockdown rules have come into force in Leicester after a spike in coronavirus cases.
What that means is that businesses in the city won't be reopening, and a ban on social gatherings and overnight stays is included in the new legislation, with fines for those flouting the law.
Our reporter, Geeta. In the United States, Donald Trump has kicked off celebrations for the 4th of July with an appearance at the famous Mount Rushmore monument.
However, the president has also been accused of acting irresponsibly by holding a crowded event as coronavirus cases continue to soar across the country. Our North America correspondent David Willis has this report.
Dozens of landmarks across the UK will be lit up in blue this evening to mark tomorrow's 72nd anniversary of the founding of the NHS. Be quite a sight, won't it? Things lit up in blue, buildings lit up in blue this evening.
Yes, and I think the other thing, it will take people back in their minds to the time when, on those Thursday evenings, everyone was out clapping for the NHS. Although it already feels like that was quite a long time ago, doesn't it? In a funny kind of way, it feels like that was a while ago.
How long have we been under lockdown measures? 17 weeks?
Yeah, well, it's just over 100 days, I think, isn't it, altogether?
Yeah.
So it's been a very long time. So very much our focus this morning is on how communities will look and feel possibly a little bit different because of certain businesses opening, pubs and restaurants and other things. All of it coming alongside words of real caution from the scientists and from the medics about the risks that still remain.
Well, John Maguire is in Bristol this morning for us, and we've seen Dan outside at a pub as well.